Okay, now let's welcome Zheng.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure of sharing some practice about the design for future. And let me introduce myself first. I local architect from Shanghai, based in Shanghai, and having 16 years working experience in architecture and interior design, and also planning design. And I'm the partner and chief architect of Zheng Design, and also the co-founder partner of Fusion Architects, both based in Shanghai. Okay, so let's go back to our title. The title is A Place for Future. So the first question is about the future. What is future? How do we define the future? Okay, so there's some chaos with the text font. But anyway, I think in my mind, in my opinion, the future is very simple to explain. The future is just the new generation who are younger than me, right? So including the kids, children, maybe teenagers or young graduates, except me. So this stupid man in black in 40 is me. So I'm not future anymore. Okay. And then I'm going to introduce 3 projects I've done in recent years. Actually, one is still under construction and 2 already finished. And there's a coincidence that all the customers of those 3 projects are about future. One for graduates, one for kids, and one for children. So the first project is, I named it as a temporary home. So the official name is Xin City, not Sin City, Xin City, because it's located in Xinzhuang of Shanghai. And it's a community for young graduates. Okay, so the site is about 20 kilometers away from the downtown, the center of Shanghai. And the total ground floor area is about 120,000 square meters, including 6 high-rise buildings in high-rise residential towers in height with 100 meters, and a few separate podium in the function of retail and restaurants. Okay, so it's mainly about the living, because 90% of the total area is for living. So it's mostly a living project. And eventually, so it will accommodate about almost 2,000 tenants. So this project actually is owned, the whole property is owned by the client, the developer. So this is only to rent to the tenants for long-term stay. And basically, the target customer, their age supposed to be from 20 to 35. So that we call the young graduates and the young youngsters. Okay. And in that case, and those people, actually most of those people, they don't have any ability to afford big house or big apartment. So that's why basic idea is just to supply as many units as possible and make a minimum size for a comfortable living. So this minimum size is about 28 square meters in the room. And this is the layout, the floor plan of a early version, but so eventually it's a little bit different, but we keep the same structure, the main structure. So the whole project, like 80% of the rooms, small unit. So this is the small unit we call sale, the sale of the project, the sale of the living apartment unit. And the size is about 5 meters wide and 5.5 meters deep. Okay, so when we look at the demands, the request of those young people, so the first concern, what is their main concern? I think the first concern is about flexibility. Okay, so that's why we, even with the same structure of a room, we can supply different possibility of the layout. and make their life condition, happen in a different way. For example, some people, they like to stay at home alone, work at home alone. Some people, they like to invite boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever friend come to their home, and some invite their parents, some invite more friends or big family to have big party. So the basic idea is just to provide a space which can adapt this flexibility of space. So that's why the typical size of the unit is different. It's almost a square. It's quite different from a traditional apartment. The traditional apartment in a hotel is almost in a proportion of 2:1, so more like a rectangle. So with this square layout, we have more flexibility. For example, we divide it into quarters. Okay, so the right top quarter, so this is fixed. It's about the toilet and the storage. But the rest of the space, they are flexible. They can be combined, can be divided. For example, the left side, we can combine the kitchen and the living room into a bigger lounge, a dining lounge, or a working station, like that, and make the bedroom separate. And we can also combine the bedroom and the living room together to make it a bigger space for living, for personal, for private living. So this kind of square unit will adapt different requirements according to their personal demands. And then we have some renderings, to show how the space, how the same unit can address the different requirements of their living condition. So the next part is about the community. So this occupies like 10% of the total area. So in a traditional way, so we only design some restaurants, some cafe, or some shopping, some retails for this 10%. But in this project, we need to think about what the future generation they are interested in. So what is their lifestyle? So in our opinion, apart from dining, eating, apart from shopping, they have more interests, which is different from our generation. For example, they like to take part in the sports, the fitting, gym. They like to make friends. They like to have pets. They like video games. Okay, the generation are changing and the requirements are changing. So we need to adapt this change of the requirement. So that's why we have different definitions for the separate public buildings. For example, from east to west. So this first building is for F&B, and the second building for the sports, and then the central building is for, we call it central lounge. Actually, it's like a art or culture center of the community. So the first one is Fnb Project. The idea is to provide open space as much as possible. So the square meters counted into FAR is like 5,000 square meters, but we have additional extra 5,000 square meters for the gray space and open space and terrace space, which will have more potential to hold some celebration, ceremony, festivals, or outdoor activities in the future. We cannot predict what will happen in the future, but we can supply the space for the future users. And this is the street view of the project. And there are some photos I took half years ago, so some construction site photos, but all those space will remain to be open. This is a double height space which will be open eventually. And so this is a photo I took last month and already covered with the finishing. And this is the open auditorium space of the community center. And this is my partner. And this is not my partner. Okay, so then let's go to the sports center. So this sports center, so go back to project. Actually, it's interesting. It's very interesting because the whole site boundary is irregular, and there's a metro line passing passing by the street, by the plot. So on the north part of the whole site, so no construction is allowed. So we have to put some, what we can do is just to put some outdoor, football or basketball or tennis courts or pitches. But this building attached to this course can be defined as sports center, and which includes a swimming pool, a gym, gaming center, indoor basketball court, and a semi-indoor. So this is a semi-indoor basketball court, which can also be defined for some other functions. For example, you can also change it, renovate it to a court for badminton or a place for rock climbing, because there are some walls which is super high, about 9 meters high. So we are still discuss this part with the operator, so to find out more possibility in the future. And some construction photos on site. And we're going to expose some structure, because we think structure will have the characteristic of the strength, the power, and beauty. And this is a photo from the street view and without finishing. And this is after the finishing. Okay, so the last building is the culture center. So the idea is to break up the grade. So this is the original column grade. We keep it original and rigid, because we have to keep the underground parking to be efficient. But the problem is we want to make the space more interesting. So the client asks us to make it open. And then we put in some diagonal walls which and high conceal the columns. And then we take out some columns and make some courtyard. So this is some physical model. And then make an irregular space for the downstairs, for the ground floor. So ground floor will be open. And another staircase, this staircase will be extended to the sky over the rooftop, which is also 24-hour open to the public. So there are some renderings, and the renderings from the community center. And this is the construction photo, like almost 90% done, pretty close to the finish. And this is the other side. So the inside is more open and outside is more closed, just to ensure the privacy for the residential tenants. But inside there could be a lot of things happen, and so we plan to put a library and cafe and a gallery on the first floor. So downstairs is totally open, so it will be an open gallery, and also has potential to put in some pop-up shops in the future. And I happened to take a photo with the reflection of the sunset on the channel glass. So the channel glass will be one of the main materials for the transparent and translucent part. And the final picture about this project is the material. This is what we call the Shanghai Plaster. So in some other countries, they call it the magic stone. It's a kind of coating made of little stones. But in Shanghai, we call it Shanghai Plaster because it used to be very popular, like 100 years ago in Shanghai. And it brings the memory of the city, the context, the historic context of the city, and which is also affordable. So we think this project, so this is the best material for this project. And the second project I want to introduce is the temporary intention. So this is a primary school. I call it a playground for children. So the location is in Chengdu, also like 20 kilometers away from the downtown. And this area is called Lux Lakes. In Chinese, we call it Luhu. It's one of the most successful development in China. And this is a photo, top view photo taken by the Zheng. And actually, the left part is the kindergarten, and the middle part is the primary school with a playground on site. And actually, the whole project was done by my office, and I was the person in charge of the primary school. So this image is one of the most important picture of the whole project. Remember the title I named, a temporary intention. Why? Why temporary intention? Because I think children's intention are always changing. They don't know what's going to happen in next second. They don't know what they're going to do next second. So what I want to do is to make a space for children to play, to enjoy the life. If they go to the playground, for some students who stay on the upper floor, so they have to walk like for 5 minutes to go to the playground, it's very inconvenient. But I want to have them go directly to the open space to enjoy the nature, the sky, the air, the open space, and play on this corridor, this terrace, so which I describe it as a vertical running track or a vertical playground. And this is another view for this vertical playground, and you can see how those opening and voids make the interaction between different layers, different floors. And some other views, because this project is in Chengdu, so we need to be very careful in structure design because it's in one of the center of earthquake region. And this is some other view, the view between the kindergarten and the primary school. And we provide a lot of space. This is from the Zheng yard and some other platform and Zheng Plaza nearby the canteen and another Zheng yard. And the ground floor is totally open, together with cafe, restaurant, small restaurant, library, and art and dancing classroom and some laboratory. So this is the floor plan of the ground floor, so which was inspired by some great artists like Juan Miró or Kandinsky. I like them, both of them. And I also believe their art pieces pretty attractive for children because of the geometric element, the color element they use. So in this project, I use a lot of geometric and color system for children to attract their attention. So this is the gym. The ground floor is auditorium. On the first floor is a gym, sports, indoor sports center, the staircase, still the gym. So for this building, we only use orange and white and gray. So this is from the staircase of the gym. And the window system, the facade system, is like a metaphor of the switches. You know, because I have 2 kids and they both like play with the switches. So this is like a metaphor of switches. I think it's also a kind of interest for the children. And some other window system and the curtain wall system. Right, and this is also another metaphor. It's like an upside down palette for painting. So we use some blue and green color for that to attract, to encourage the interaction between different floors. Okay, so the last picture is the canopy. So the last project I introduced is a temporary location. So this is a new project which has been just constructed in a couple of months ago. So it's located in the same place, Lux Lakes, a park for kids. So actually this site is more central and surrounded by the artificial lake system. So the environment is super nice. But actually we try different prototype and massing test. But eventually, so the final massing was determined by this analysis, sunlight analysis, because we have very strict regulation for the sunlight system. Sunlight regulation, so we have to ensure at least 3 continuous hours for sunlight in the winter time. So that's why this may be the only result of the design. But there is something we can design. We can make it. Our intention is to make it more, integrated with nature. So there's no sharp angle or straight corner in this building. So the whole building is designed by curves. There are many curves. Just try to make it integrated with the nature. Okay, so we can see this, how those curves made the building and made the contrast between the building surrounded. I think for all the projects, I think the context is the most important issue we need to be concerned about. And the metal system, curtain wall system for the roof. Okay, and so all curves. And then there are some film photos I took and developed, so we can see how the building. So this is the interior space. We are not in charge of the interior design, only the architecture, but we design the space. So this is the open space under the cantilever structure, and we can see different scale in different area. For example, this is the typical classroom and the dancing room. So we make this a little bit lower, and library which is higher and has together with another tunnel, another staircase connected to the multifunction room, which is 7 meters high. And this is from the corridor, so we can see whenever you are, you can always appreciate, always see the beautiful nature. And the nature element, I think, is the most important issue in this project. I want the children, the kids, in this project, although this is just temporary life, a part of a temporary period of their life, but they can remember every day, every single moment of embracing the nature, the environment. So that's why I describe it as a temporary park. Some black and white photo. Okay, so go back to the title. So what is future? What is to design future? So my answer is simple. Future is the new generation, and to design future is to design for new generation, to design a place where we never grow old. Thank you.